Hello, folks. How are you doing? I am Scott. Bo is taking a little nap at my feet because it is raining and thundering outside. Today is August the 24th, 2022. It is about 5 p.m. in the afternoon. How are you guys doing? We are going to talk about debt forgiveness, student debt forgiveness by Sneaky Uncle Slo-Jo, Joe Biden. What does it mean? What does it all mean, Scott? It all means something. Hi, just thought I'd show you. Just a brief update. I'm feeling much, much better. And I had to go to the DMV to turn in those tags that have been sitting there forever because they were going to cancel my driver's license because they thought I was driving without insurance. And so I went and did that. And then I actually walked 2 miles to a Burger King and then took a lift back home. Got all that done. Was going to do some work on the yard, but it's raining out there, so I did stuff around the house. Very exciting, boring for you. I know it's not, a huge accomplishment for anybody. However, considering where I was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a week ago, it's pretty good. For me, it's pretty good. Being able to get some stuff done and get out of the house. So I'm feeling much, much better. Let's talk about Sneaky Uncle Slo-Jo's debt forgiveness. I want to right off the bat, not to bury the lead, I want to tell you this is not really all that it's cracked up to be. And in fact, it's not going to help students. It's going to help some now and some former students and some people getting on with their lives. It'll help them a little bit, sure, yeah. But it's not going to help students in the future, which, by the way, is why I think they're doing this. You have to understand, they're not canceling all student debt. They're not canceling $10,000 off everybody's debt. They're not touching private banks that made loans to students, even private banks and private institutions that were recommended to the students by the federal government. They're just talking about Pell Grants and federal student loans. That's all they're talking about. Those are the only two things. So they're not going to get into into big businesses' pockets. Okay, that's the first thing. They're getting into the Department of Education's pockets. Now, what they're going to end up doing is, in the future, as this happens and as this unfolds over the next year, maybe even less than that, they'll come back and go, oh no, look at that. We didn't anticipate the backlash of what's going to happen when you take all of that money that's supposedly coming into the fucking federal government and the Department of Education, and all of a sudden it's not coming in. All that money's gone. That's going to have an effect. It's going to have an effect on how much money the Pell Grant system has to make loans to other children of middle income, working class income, poor children to be able to go to school. And it's going to have an effect on the federal Department of Education's resources to make loans to the same types of people. So would that end up with them saying, oh, there's a crisis, now we have to privatize? Possibly. They tried privatizing even the Pell Grant. I don't think they did the Pell Grant, but they did the federal loans. And that was a pain in the ass when that was happening. And they were going after everybody. When it was privatized, when they had handed over those fucking loans, even the defaulted ones, the old ones, like ones held by yours truly. They were, because then it was a business, it was a private business. They were going after people who were even disabled. And I have a little personal experience with that I will share with you. So people are yelling and screeching on the right about this being a giveaway to the wealthy. It's going to cost everybody $2,000 per person in the country. There's a lot of disinformation out there about it. And so I thought I would share with you a little bit from Forbes and the New York Times and try to put to rest some of that disinformation, doing some simple math, but also provide some information and some answers for people who have questions about this because it might pertain to you. Let's start off with this, just so you know. Back when I was still a fledgling conspiracy theorist, the Huffington Post put forward some question about people who were on disability and who were having a hard time paying back student loans. And so I typed in my answers and my request, and turns out 7 people were contacted. It was something that was put together. ProPublica was asking Huffington Post people and other people, readers of other websites, for this information. And for some reason, they picked yours truly to be their cover child, their cover boy. By the way, that is church on the futon and not bow. Church was a dog that I had a while ago. As you can hear, it's raging out there, so the power might go out. Anyway, this was written by Sasha Chavkin, February 13th, published February 13th, 2011. And you know what? This article they made changes. And in the end, they took the fucking privatized money out of the hands of the fucking companies. And the Department of Education took the debt back and control of the debt back. So right now, luckily, I am not being forced to make payments to fucking $9,000 worth of debt that turned into $26,000 over time from 1984. Okay? Just so you know. Will this have an effect on me? I seriously doubt it. But you never know. It might. There was no private financial institutions involved. It was straight from the federal government and, of course, Pell Grants. Anyway, let's take a look from Fortune magazine here. They kind of lay out in these little tweets 9 points about the student loan forgiveness thing that Biden just signed. And we'll see if, and then I'll provide you with some access to some information that might help if you're going to be affected by this. The Biden administration will forgive $10,000 in student loan debt and extend the federal payment pause. Here's who qualifies. Now, here's a problem right off the bat. It says in this graphic, Biden is forgiving up to $10,000 in federal student loan debt for some borrowers. Okay, that's technically true. However, that $10,000 becomes $20,000 for recipients of Pell Grants. And yes, it is only for some borrowers. Let's get into who, the nuts and bolts, so to speak. The U.S. will forgive $10,000 in student loan debt per federal borrower, earning under $125,000 per year during the pandemic. And the relief include also those currently in college. You can go to this. I'll post a link to this thing here, and you'll be able to find all the links to these yourself. That will erase an estimated $300 billion worth of debt, according to an estimation by the Penn-Wharton budget model. Benefits would go disproportionately to working and middle-income households, while almost excluding the richest Americans. And it shows here how that breakdown's going to work. If you look at the all the fucking disinfo out there. This is Pat Toomey. His headline reads, Biden's loan forgiveness is grossly unfair, taxpayer subsidized handout to the wealthy. And he also cites the $300 billion over 10-year plan, saying it's going to cost people $2,000 on each American, $2,000 each. And that's the number that everyone has come up with. As you see here from CNBC, it's going to cost taxpayers an average of $2,000, some policy experts say. And you go down here, and again, you have the National Review saying the same thing. It's going to cost more than $2,000 per taxpayer. Let's, for the fun of it, just do the math. We do that over here at this place. Now, that's $300 billion. Now, there are estimates that it could go up to $600 billion. I don't know. But that's the $300 billion. That's what everyone's citing, and that's what everyone's talking about. Let's do the math, shall we? Let's divide the $300 billion by 330, roughly, million folks. Do we get $2,000 per folk? No, we get $909 per folk. Okay? We get $909,000 per folk. Now, if you take the super upper level and you say it's not 300 million, but 600 million, let's go ahead and multiply that times 2, and that's what you get. Oh, well, we're getting closer to that $2,000 a piece, aren't we, Scott? Yes, but it is spread out, as Mr. Toomey and everybody else says, over a 10-year plan, which means it's going to cost the average taxpayer supposedly $181.82. Yeah, okay, there you go. It's so unfair. Here's the other thing. It is not being handed out to the wealthiest. Anyone who has financial aid or financial aid loans, student loans, who make less than $125,000 a year. How is that the wealthiest? Now, if you look at it and say, well, a lot of people, the median income is what? $58,000. The median income in this, I know how statistics work, mean, median, mode. So we'll just go with the median. We'll take the median income, which is I think about $58,000 or $52,000. So somebody making $125,000 would certainly be seem to be rich compared to the guy making $52,000. Okay, I'll grant you that. However, $125,000 for a person does not make them wealthy. And if they have children, if they have a family, if they are a one-income family, even a two-income family, I don't know if that really qualifies you as family. That qualifies you as upper middle class, in my estimation. Doctors make about, $350,000 a year? And if you listen to my brother, who's a doctor, he'll tell you, I'm not rich. I'm sure fucking Bezos says the same thing, but the argument is people who are making over $125,000 a year don't need the tax relief. They don't need the tax relief because they got the money, they signed up for the fucking loans, they got the education. It's obviously paying off for them. This is going to help some people. See, here you go. $344 billion cost per 10-year estimate. Okay, there you go. Okay, let's move on. The new income-driven repayment plan would also cap monthly payments at 5% of an undergraduate borrower's discretionary income. Undergraduate borrower's discretionary income. That's half the current rate that borrowers pay. That's an important one as well. Capping. Now remember, this is just $10,000. In a few minutes here, you'll see for people who have college loans, the average amount of the college loans is in the $30,000 range. So this is not going to make a massive difference. It's going to take $10,000 off. But in terms of what they're paying, people are still going to be making the same fucking payments. Luckily, though, they won't be capped at 10% of what they have in terms of their discretionary income. It'll be capped at 5%, so that will help. Number 5 from Fortune's list here. Borrowers' remaining debt will be canceled after 10 years of monthly payments instead of the current 20 years. So that would be okay. If somebody has payments, enough payments to last longer than 10 years, but they keep making the payments, that's good, and it'll be canceled after 10 years. So that's a big difference. According to the Department of Education, U.S. federal tax student debt stands at around $1.6 trillion, and the borrowers average about $37,667. And this is the average student loan by state. Student loan debt by state. Yeah. So is that Georgia has the most? That's weird. Okay. 1/3 of borrowers will have their debt completely eliminated under Biden's plan, according to the data from the Department of Education. Now, that's an interesting one there. And there are the top 10 states. I don't know where that is. You can see from up here, I guess. You can figure out who's number 1, who's number 2, so forth and so on. 1/3 of the borrowers will have their debt completely eliminated in the Biden plan, which means they've paid off a bunch and they've got it under $10,000. The Pell Grant recipients who earn less than $125,000 per year during the pandemic, $250,000 from married couples or heads of household, I don't know what that means, will have up to $20,000 in debt erased. But again, that is not people who have $250,000 in their income. That means people who have that or less. So people who have $32,000, married couples, and that's all the fucking income they have, they will also have up to $20,000 in their debt erased. Let me just say this real quick. There's a lot of us who attended college with high hopes, who did not complete, who did not finish, and did not get the benefits at all of having a college degree. In fact, when you take a shot for it and you're poor and you work hard and you take a shot at it and you fail at it, that tends to hurt you a lot more than not going to college in the first place. And again, I can tell you from firsthand experience. So, being one of those, this kind of relief would certainly help. It's not going to help me at all, personally. Even if it does reduce some of the debt that's hanging over my head and has been hanging over my head for quite some time, it's not going to have an effect on me. Number 9, in addition to $10,000 loan forgiveness, the student loan payment pause will be extended through the end of the year. Number 10, how can you get student loan relief? It should be easy. You can submit an application, which will be available no later than when the federal payment pause ends at the end of the year. Nearly 8 million borrowers will be eligible for the automatic relief. Even better news, this is number 11. It's tax-free. They're not going to tax you for the $10,000 debt forgiveness. However, some borrowers simply make too much money to qualify. For example, doctors whose student loans average about $200,000 after graduating medical school in 2021, and it won't benefit the majority of Americans who haven't attended college. Let me toss this in there for you as well. I can't speak for all doctors, but I can tell you, I have spoken to, over the years, numbers, and I've noticed a trend, and that is a lot of times when they finally finish their residency and they get an offer to go someplace, sometimes the fucking institutions will pay off the loans. Not always. I can't say always. I'm sure there are some doctors out there who are struggling to make the payments for their fucking college loans. However, let's put it this way. I don't think Rand Paul was struggling with fucking student loan payments when he graduated Duke Medical. After not having a bachelor's degree, by the way. A little entitled Randy. let's get back to this real quick. Of course, everyone's talking on the right, talking about this being a great fucking... Look at that. Joe Biden finally did one thing he promised he would do right before the midterm elections in November. Of course, the fucking economy is collapsing. Of course, all this fucking crazy shit. Of course, he's financing Nazis in Ukraine and pushing fucking gene therapy medications and experimental gene therapy shots on people. But hey, $10,000 of your student debt has been erased. For some people, that will make a difference. I guess for everybody, yeah, if you take $10,000, you owe $20,000, you still got $10,000. So they take $10,000 off of $20,000. Okay, now your principal is $10,000 less. You're still making payments. The good news is for some people, what will be immediately felt is the cap. Right now it's capped at 10% of your discretionary income, and that's being cut in half. So maybe some of those fucking people out there, those poor people out there who are working hard, struggling, went to college, tried, didn't graduate, didn't finish. Life took them in a different direction. And now they're fucking saddled with $300, $400, $500 fucking student loan payments on something that did them absolutely no fucking good. It will be helpful to those people if they can take that fucking $10,000 out of the fucking, off the principal. That's great. And then take that fucking $500 payment and turn it into fucking $250 payment. That would be fine. That would be great. And to that end, this is a good thing. There's a bunch of questions answered here at the New York Times. And again, it's just, this is the first place that says it could range from $300 billion to $980 billion over the course of 10 years from the Wharton School estimate. That's the only place there. Look at this. Will debt relief become a regular thing? Yeah, don't count on that. Is there a chance that some pissed off fuck, one of these guys, like, I ain't getting no damn student loan relief. Why have I got to pay $2,000 taxes? Which, of course, they're not. But it's possible. Somebody does that, and then it goes to the courts, and then it goes to the Supreme Court, and guess what the Supreme Court's going to say? Nope. That's socialism, and so you can't have that. There's a lot of good questions answered in this. How do you sign up for it? How does a new plan work? Income-driven fucking loan repayments. I don't even know if those existed back in 2011 when the ProPublica did that article on me. I know it didn't for me. They were taking a lot of my disability money out. And it was about to make me homeless, to be honest with you. One of my options... What if I want to keep paying the same amount and have it applied to the principal? Okay, so this refers to, you got $10,000 kicked off the $20,000 principal, and then that dropped down. But then you can afford, or you found a way to afford the 10% of your discretionary income that you're paying now, and they want to cap that down to 5%. What if you can go ahead and can you continue paying the 10% and have that applied to the additional principal? There's your answer. I don't know. But that's an interesting question. I have more than $10,000 in debt. When and how will my monthly payment amount be adjusted? There's some good information there. When will payments start again on my remaining balance? Will I have to pay tax on the canceled debt? The answer to that question is no. How do I know it happens? There's a good answer there. Will it happen automatically, or do I need to submit a tax return, do something else to prove that I qualify? There's their answer there. There's a good bunch of questions that are answered here. Did I finish my degree? If I didn't finish my degree, does that disqualify me? The answer is no. I'm still a student. Do I qualify? The answer is yes. And of course, which types of debt qualify? Only the federal student loan debt is eligible. Private loans are not. However, Pell Grants, Perkins loans or Pell Grants? Why would Pell Grants be fucking included? It's a grant. Let me get back to that real quick and look. Is it a Perkins student loan? Or is it Perkins student loan federal? Did I miss it? I did indeed miss it. How did I miss that? It's student loan debt for the Pell Grants. Grant is a grant. Why are they asking? I own Pell Grants. I had Pell Grants, so there's $20,000. So yes, to answer that question, yes, $10,000 for federal student loan debt, but also $20,000 in Pell Grants. Okay. I hope that clears some of this up. Remember, it's not being done. It's being done. It was a promise that was made, like many other promises. He at first said he was going to get rid of all of them, all debt, cancel all the debt. I seen a lot of people. Somebody asking, some dude was face to face with Elizabeth Warren. And he was like, well, I saved up my money, and my friend went out buying yachts and shit, but I saved my money, and I put it in the thing, and then I paid it all off. Why can't I? It's not fair. It's not fair. Okay, yeah. Guess what, folks? Life ain't fucking fair. Check out Nancy Pelosi's fucking husband and the deal he got for his umpteenth fucking DUI. While she's literally stuffing her pockets with taxpayer money. Dick Cheney not only didn't get prosecuted for 9/11, but carrying out 9/11 created a career for his corrupt fucking daughter. No, life ain't fair. It isn't. You know, a lot of people are out there saying, you know, and some dude, I get it. Some dude just suffered for fucking 10, 15 years paying off these goddamn things, and it was a pain in the goddamn ass. But he did it. Yay, I finally paid it off. $10,000 fucking kicked off everybody's fucking federal loans, federal student loans. He's like, God damn it. I get that. I get that. I do. Life ain't fair. I went to... Here's how this works. I want to tell you a little personal shit about me. More personal shit, I guess. Why not? Why not? Back in the day, I was a fucking troubled youth when I was going to college, and was not focused at all. And I was so unfocused, I got into legal trouble, and I lost my license due to that legal trouble. And then I moved to a different city, and I was trying to start over again, and I was taking my housemate, Chris, and I was dropping her off at work in her convertible Rabbit. And for some stupid reason, I wanted to drive it without a fucking license. Cop got in behind me and pulled me over, and I was fucked. I have been considered a habitual offender. 2 driving unsuspendeds and 1 DUI. So I was a habitual offender. That meant an automatic year in prison. Don't pass go, do not collect $200. Okay? So at the age of 24 or something, 25, while I was going to fucking VCU, I had to do time in jail. Luckily, I had a lawyer who helped me out, got a deal. I had to do 6 months in downtown lockup, 6 months for a year in downtown lockup, and I was given work release and school release, which was a good deal. It was a very good deal. I just every night had to turn myself into jail and then stay on the weekends for 6 months. But I continued to go to school. Again, a very, very good deal. The point I'm trying to make here is so I took at the end, Mom was with me, and there's a friend of mine with me. And there was this bridge that went into Bell Island, which is in the middle of James River. We used to have to hop on the rocks to get there, but then they turned it into a park, and they put this hanging bridge via wire under this street bridge. And so I went out there the day I got out of my 6-month sentence and took my card, my ID card, to get back in jail every day and threw it out in the river. I know it's polluting. It was fucking stupid. Here's my point. 6 months after I threw that card off the bridge into the water, driving as a habitual was reduced from a class 3 felony or something, a class 1 felony, which is you get an automatic 1 year prison time, to basically a citation, a ticket. I missed it by 6 fucking months. It was a fucking ticket. It went because it was so ridiculous. And I was driving a car middle of the day, stone cold sober, like a dumbass. I just wanted to drive. It was a cute little fucking Rabbit with a fucking 5-speed manual. I don't know why. It was stupid. But that stupid shit cost me a lot in fees and legal fees and shit. And it cost me, it was a pain. It was just a pain. 6 months, if I had done it, the process took, from the time I did it to the time it was changed, was probably about 2 years, 2.5 years. Had I done it 2.5 years later, you just fucking write a $75 check. Was it fair? Did I get all that money back? No. Did I get that time back? Did they put me in a time machine and send me? No. Did they pay restitution for my? No. Suck it up. Shit happens. You're not paying $2,000 for the debt forgiveness for the $10,000. $10,000 for these people, and that's broken down over the course of 10 years. The $300 billion is broken down over the course of 10 years. That's the cost of $344 billion over the course of 10 years. You do the math. For the people in the country, 330 million of us. You do the math. It's not $20,000. The taxpayers, people who say that are just pissed off because, and I get it. I was pissed off after I threw my fucking card in there to come to find out 6 months later, oh, they changed this. Yeah, we figured that was kind of fucking ridiculous and unfair to give somebody a year in prison for driving a fucking car sober within the speed limit. Yeah. Shit's unfair. We get that. Here's my solution to that. While doing the research for this, I came to the understanding of the fact that a small percentage of Americans actually get to graduate college. Slightly larger get to go to college, like myself, but they don't complete it. They don't finish it. I would like to see, like public schools are free, with the exception of having to pay for your pencils and books and well, not books, but pencils and backpacks and shit like that. I would like to see charter schools removed. I'd like to see all that money put back into the public school system. I'd like to see new public schools being built, and the country taking the pride in educating their fucking children. Even people who are single and don't have children like myself, having to pay for somebody else's kid to go to school. You're goddamn right I will. You're goddamn fucking right I will. And I would do it proudly. Happily. Because that's an investment in your future. That's an investment in the future of the country. That's an investment in the welfare of the community. And I would also like to see all colleges and all tuition free to all citizens of the United States and naturalized citizens of the United States. I think that is the best way to go, as opposed to privatize. And then you wouldn't have this issue. You really wouldn't have this issue. And yeah, the average taxpayers would be paying a little more for that, but think of what you get in return. You get a better educated workforce. You get a better educated community. You get people. I'm not saying that you have to go to college to be an intelligent person, or I'm just saying you go to college and hopefully, if you pay attention, unlike what I did, it prepares you better in some places. In some places, it's just indoctrination. I had one person back when I was in Charleston tell me he wanted me to give me a job as a project manager for Ryland Homes. I had started off with a stupid fucking plastic bag tool belt and a fucking tack hammer and a framing job. I took a bus there and ended up leaving a year later as a crew leader building these prefabricated homes for East Coast Carpentry. Was that who it was? It was somebody. These two bosses I had, and it was cool. The first day I showed up, and I met them, and I got off a bus, and they gave me a ride into the fucking job site. We went down this long dirt road through these trees, and there was this one house in the middle of this huge ass fucking lot, big ass fucking place. And there was a foundation there, and this was their first or second job they had done, the house that they had done for Ryland Homes. When I left, and they had projects over, these things took maybe 5 days. And this is back before the fucking, using fucking cranes to set trusses. We used to do all that shit by hand. Again, too much about me, but I'm already in the middle of the story, so I can't back out of it. The point I'm trying to make is, at the end, when I left, not only did a supervisor for Ryland, who knew them, the people who owned the company knew me, told me, he said, you get your fucking degree, you come back here, I'll give you a job as a project manager. And it doesn't matter what your degree is. I stood up on the roof of that house, the first house we did, when we finished, got it under paper, and it was just nothing but fucking forests for all the eye, so as far as your eye could see, nothing but fucking green trees and treetops, and it was nothing to see deer come hopping across the fucking job site. When I left, we were working on that very same subdivision where that first house went in, and I finished up a house and put it on the roof and was under paper and was standing up there, and you could see houses, all cookie cutter suburbia looking houses, all Ryland home houses, most of which we had built over the last year, and houses. People were getting out of their cars, they were coming home from fucking work, kids were fucking playing in neighborhoods, riding up and down on their bicycles, dogs running around, no more deer. It was a strange feeling. It was a good feeling, it was a strange feeling. Built a neighborhood. You don't have to go to college. You don't have to finish college to be a viable, contributing member of society. That is true. That is obvious. But for some people, some young people, who have the ability and have the desire to do that, to continue their education past high school, I think it should be available for everybody. I just do. And so I think to some degree this $10,000 student debt forgiveness is kind of a good thing. It'll help some. The 5% cap down from 10% will help, taking that $10,000 out of the fucking out of the actual loan itself. How much is the principal of the loan is a good thing. Some people who only have $8,000, $7,000 left and they're still struggling to make the fucking $400 payments, those guys will be very well served by this. If it happens, I'm sure it will. But they'll be very well served by this. And those aren't, as Toomey would tell you, the super rich will be the only ones and you got to pay $2,000. You're not paying $2,000. And it's not for the super rich. That's just a fact. The people that it will help the most, the quickest, will be those people who are, working, making ends meet, trying to make ends meet. Inflation is fucking them. That 10% down to 5% will help a lot. And then for those small numbers of people who only have like $10,000 and $9,000 left, or anything under $9,000, and that wipes the whole thing out for them, that'll be very good. So this is a good thing. Yes, it's being done as a political stunt. Yes, I think in all likelihood, it's also being done as a political stunt, and which is why they waited so long after he had promised to do it. And then they said they weren't going to do it, and now they're doing it right before the fucking midterms. Whoo! As we can't see through that. And yes, I think in some ways this is also being done to help undermine the student loan program, the federal student loan program, to make ready for privatization, which will be, again, if you go back to this shit, which will be a fucking nightmare. So yes, I have a little personal experience with this. By the way, if you don't know, that's back when I had my drafting and design business and I was still disabled and I was trying to I hadn't had my third pulmonary embolism. I already had my second. No, I was getting ready to. In that case, that's a hood range, a range hood that I built, and that is a arched inset bookshelf or bookcase. Well, actually, it's a gaming center for a kid that I also built. There's a little star in the middle of it there. Back in the day when I was productive. But there you go. So yeah, I was kind of a thing to start with. I don't know why, but they picked my thing. Look at that widow's peak I got while I'm working there. Look how thin I was in 2011. Holy shit. So all you need to do is have a pulmonary embolism and be in the hospital for fucking 8 days and you can lose some weight. So there you go. That's my take on that. Yes, it's good. No, it's not being done for the right reasons. Yes, it should have been done as soon as he got into office, but then he couldn't use it as a goddamn ploy right before the fucking midterm elections. He couldn't say, see, he actually did one fucking thing that he promised he would fucking do. I'm sure that people, I'm sure you've heard and others have been saying that this is all fucking bad, it's terrible, and what, God damn it, it's so unfair. Life is unfair. It is unfair. Here's a way to make it fair. Just make it free to everybody. Just make it free to everybody. And then if your kid is saving up money to go to college, then your kid can take that money and put it towards influencer school or whatever. That's the way to make it fucking fair. Just say, you know what? Fuck this shit. locking people into debt servitude just so they have the fucking, in order to pay that fucking price for a shot at joining the middle class. Fuck that shit. A lot of other countries do it. Back when people like Noam Chomsky were going to school, and that motherfucker's education worked for him. He's a sellout piece of shit, but his education worked for him. You can't say that. He didn't, but I think he said he paid something like $100 a year for City College or some shit. That's what you should fucking do. Then it'll be fair. Anyway, thank you guys for your time. I think we have together whiled away the whole storm is gone, so that's good. Or I could have spoken too soon. Have a good one.